Hello there, random and lovely people who decided to watch my video. Okay, so today we're going to be doing something a bit different. Normally I'd be doing some sort of meme, Transformers video, some kind of gameplay. I will have gameplay in the background of this, but I'm going to be doing a story time today. Now, I haven't actually thought this far, so, I'm probably going to tell you about some of the crazy tales of, girl trouble that I've had, or something. I'll tell you the tale that has happened at Camp Segatawa, which is a summer camp for me. If you don't know where that is, I think it's best to keep it that way. Okay, so my story starts back when I was a wee little 9-year-old. Back then I had a lot of troubles with anger issues. And, yeah, so I kind of lashed out at a lot of people for doing the most basic of things, and so there was this one albino kid there who particularly made me mad because he made fun of me a lot. So that was like the first time I've ever fought at this camp. Mind you, this is a Christian camp, and they don't really take well to violence. Um, and then so this is like a yearly thing. So next year I actually was worse with my anger issues. Um. I I started pulling pranks on people. So there's this one kid in my cabin. Um let's just call him Jay. I'm not gonna say his actual name because, you know, YouTube, but this kid was like one of the most annoying kids in our cabin. He picked on everyone. He was like that one kid who always had to be first in line. But he was great. I was actually like 15 at the time, and the reason why, they were like 12. The reason why they did that is because I was actually in a program for that I was staying at this camp for 2 weeks, and he was at a program where they were staying in that camp for one. And my 2-week program overlapped the kids program. So I ended up staying in like a cabin with a bunch of 12-year-olds. Oh, the Fortnite, they worshipped it. Look, I'm not one to be against Fortnite. It's the community itself though is why I'm against it. Like the game itself is pretty decent. It's just that like I can't mention Fortnite in a public place without a bunch of little kids being like, "Oh, you play Fortnite? What skins do you have?" I haven't actually played Fortnite enough that I have any skins. I just played it for the creative mode. And that was a while ago. I don't even have it anymore. But back to the story. So this kid was getting on like everyone in the cabin's nerves. So and one day he pulled the last straw. So he took a can of Axe and put a bunch of rubber bands on it to hold the spray nozzle down, and then chucked it into an adjacent cabin, and like he basically Axe bombed the entire cabin. So he got a strict talking to from the cabin leader, which is like the adult who makes sure we don't screw everything up or burn the cabin down. So yeah, this specific cabin leader in question gave him a good stern talking to. And although that wasn't really enough, because what do you know? Next morning, he takes a can of bug spray and bombs another cabin. So at that point, they were thinking about calling his parents and getting him out, like getting him sent home. But we weren't. He wasn't gonna let that happen. He just said, "Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't me." And the worst part is the cabin leader actually bought it the second time. So we decided to team up and play a prank on him. So I put like a stick under his pillow with a piece of fishing wire tied to it that ran like, so he had bunk beds, and I had the piece of fishing wire run up the headboard of like the bunk bed, not like the ladder part, so like you wouldn't be able to see it because it was hiding behind the headboard, which was up against the wall. And then we had like the person on top moved one of the boards that their mattress laid on. Mattress, I mean like these ugly leather surrounded foam pads that you could only get a comfortable night's rest if you stacked like 3 of them on top of each other. I ended up being the lucky one of the lucky few in the cabin who was able to stack 2, because there was a couple beds in our cabin that were empty, so we took the mattresses off them and stacked them. So basically, and so this board had a small container of like shampoo in it. So like, well, like it had like that resting on it, so that when he laid on his pillow, the stick was propped up in such a way that when he laid on his pillow, the stick would fall down, pulling the string, which would pull the little tiny the small container of shampoo off, splashing him in the face with shampoo. Oh, let me tell you, that was glorious. His pillow was covered in shampoo. When the camp put it in the washing machine, it caused the washing machine to explode in foam, and it was funny. No one ever figured out I did that. But, well, none of the cabin leaders, anyways. Everybody in the cabin knew it. They just covered me with that one. Okay, so a year later, I do the same program, except later in the summer, so there wasn't any kids there. I was in like 12. I was like 16, I think, and I was with mind you, these cabins aren't these cabins aren't co-ed. So like the girls' have their own cabins, and the boys have their own cabins, and they're on the opposite sides of the camp. So yeah, I got like a little bit of time left. The next year, there was this one kid. I don't really know. I don't know, what should I call him? I'll just call him Mac. He had a few issues at home that he tried not to bring up. He always struck me as weird. Like he'd be off in the bushes doing something, and and no one knew what he was doing. But then he'd like come back and like everything would be fine. How do I say this? One time I was sick and tired of it. I wanted to know what he was doing. He's probably like, was he smooching a girl in the bushes or something? No. He brought a hentai magazine to a Christian camp. I kid you not, this kid was fapping in a bush. I looked him. Okay, so he was going off, and the bushes were rustling. So I'm hiding in the bush. I stepped on a twig, and he looks me dead in the eyes, and he says, "Wanna look?" I'm like, I'll pass. I mean, I'm not one to pass up a good hentai here and there, but this specific situation, that was completely uncalled for. Well, as a weeb myself, I never told anyone. I never told any of the camp managers he had that, and after that whole encounter, he stopped for the remainder of the camp. But yeah, I don't even know how to put that into words how embarrassing that was. But then later that day we were playing Mission Impossible, which is like this what is it? It's like a game where we play at night. I straight up brought like a full-on ninja garb. As a weeb, don't judge me. I'm not talking like Naruto ninja. I'm talking like not even black, like a dark blue with like patches of green to blend into the bush. And I had a wooden sword on me. No one knew, but I had one. It was like concealed in my sleeve. Well, it wasn't even a sword, it was more of a wakizashi. I had it because it was just kind of built into my garb. Not technically against camp rules, but not exactly good if they don't know about it. So this kid sneaks up on me, and like, he was wearing like a ghillie suit, I kid you not, and he snuck up on me, but I knew he was behind me. I just didn't really care enough, because I just thought it was like one of the more shy campers following me or something, because they just didn't want to go off on their own. I've had a few people like that. So I don't blame that whole situation for happening. So anyways, this kid in a ghillie suit tried sneaking up on me. I knew he was there, but I just didn't really care. And then he tries to like jump scare me. And I pulled out the wooden wakizashi, and he started panicking because I don't know why, but he thought it was real or something. And he's like, he goes and straight up screams, "This kid has a knife!" I'm like, I don't. And I put it back in my sleeve. One of the cabin leaders with a flashlight comes over and starts yelling, "Hey, where are you guys? Where are you? Who said who has a knife?" And I ran off into the bushes and like hid there. I was actually a lot fatter then. Like if you know me in real life, you'll know my body type. Oh boy, probably like one or two people who watch my channel. Probably the one or two people who watch my videos are probably friends of mine, and they just watch them because they're entertaining. I don't know. So yeah, so by sneaking I mean lumbering through the bushes. But like quietly lumbering through the bushes. Yeah, I was that kind of weeb. Don't judge me. Oh boy. I never expected this story would take this long. I'm gonna have to come up with extra footage for like the background of this. So yeah, so like, and like, then I end up running into one of the cabin leaders, and he's like, "Hey, who was telling? Hey, this cabin leader said that you had a knife." I'm like, "No, I don't have a knife." And they're like, "Are you sure? Like, if I like, are you entirely sure?" I'm like, "I don't have a knife. What do you think I am? Some sort of like edgelord who like cuts people up if they get too close?" He's like, "Okay," and I'm like, no, I don't have a knife." So, but then conveniently, my wooden wakizashi, which was, mind you, buttoned in its sheath, fell out. He questioned it for a second, then realized it was wooden. He's like, is that the knife he was screaming about?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he's just this kid just screaming about how I have a knife." He's like, "Okay, well, that's kind of, well, you kind of shouldn't have that, but it's not against the rules. So I'll just let it slide this time. Just don't kill anyone with it." I'm like, "It's wooden. How am I gonna kill anyone? What is this, like vampire hunting?" So yeah, anyways, the rest of the night goes by. We're playing Mission Impossible until like 12 o'clock. In case you're wondering what that is, basically there's somebody in like a tower in the middle of the woods. You have to find them, and like they have like underneath the, well, there's like a watcher person on top of the tower who's usually like listening to some music or something, so they can't just hear you coming. They have a flashlight, and if they shine the flashlight on you and then call you by like the color of something you're wearing or something, you're out, and you have to go back to the chapel, which is like just like it's just a chapel because it's a Christian camp. You have to go back to the chapel, give a thumbs up through the window, and then if you get a thumbs up back, you're back in the game. Basically, underneath the tower, there's like someone with like a little tin can full of fake pirate treasure coins, and like that, those coins are like in bits of information. You got to take that back to the chapel, and whoever collects the most information wins the game. And so yeah, it's basically, but you can only take one piece of information at a time. But yeah, that's the premise of the game. So yeah, we played that the rest of the night. Here's where the awkward part happened. You thought the hentai kid story was awkward. Oh boy, let me tell you what happened with me. So I was walking, and well, it was more like crouch walking, like solid snake style, sort of. And I bumped into another camper. I thought it was a guy, and I had a friend. Let's just call her. I don't know. Let's call her R. It turns out it was R, but you see, R's kind of a tomboy, and she's kind of built like a guy in a way. So I thought it was another camper, and when R whispers, she kind of sounds like a guy, but like I don't know, I just thought it was another camper with that higher pitched voice. So I'm like, hey, did you find anything? And like, then she's like, who are you? I'm like, I'm just a guy. And she's like, no, who are you? I'm like, I'm a guy. I exist in this camp. And I'm like, who are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm also a person who exists in this camp. I'm like, okay, so so we started like going to the tower together. I mean, that's not the best strategy, but we just had a bit to talk about. We shared some intel on where the tower was and where. So by the way, the cabin leaders with like the flashlights, they're kind of like guards, and they walk around the forest. And if you get caught by one of them, you have to go back. But usually they can't. Usually they can't hear you. They're called hunters, anyways. So yeah, we get to like this one bush, but then we see a hunter go by. So she falls into the bush, and then like I panic. I didn't know which bush she fell into, so I jumped into the closest bush, which was the bush she fell into. I thought it was a guy camper, but I learned quickly otherwise when I fell face first into her chest. She wasn't happy about that, but she wasn't mad about that because she knew it was an accident. It was still very embarrassing, and we never spoke of it again. So yeah, that happened. I don't like talking about that. Luckily, I'm behind the guise of a screen. It's much easier to explain. And I stumble on my words when I'm talking to people a lot, so like, I speak a lot better in a video than I do when I'm actually talking to people. And that's because of this wee little thing called social anxiety. Some people have it. But, that's besides the point. The point is, if you go to camp, what happens in camp should stay in camp. Unless it's funny or awkward. Alright, well, this video is getting kind of long, so, hope you enjoy your day. I'm gonna be getting going. I have things to do, anime to watch, things. Anyways, so yeah, just, like and subscribe and do the YouTube things. I have, like, maybe 18 subscribers last I checked. So yeah, just do that, please. I need money. And if you like my content, please say so in the comment section, and I'll make more storytime videos like this. Thank you, everyone. This is Duke, Slayer of Memes, signing off.